Live, local, late breaking. This is News Channel 13. Live at 6.
Tonight's top story, Massachusetts Governor Mitt Romney presents the legislature with a $23 billion budget.
It includes a measure to roll back the state income tax to 5%.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Lydia Kulbida.
And I'm Jim Kambrich. The Republican governor lauded his administration's efforts to decrease taxes in the Bay State.
But local municipalities say that's deceiving. Abigail Bleck is in our Berkshire Newsroom with more on tonight's top story. Abby?
Lydia, yes, the governor wants to decrease the state income tax. And yes, he's also right when he says he wants to lower state spending. But with city and town expenditures going nowhere but up, the money has to come from somewhere.
And that saves us a lot of money.
Governor Mitt Romney Wednesday pledged a balanced $23.2 billion budget.
That is even including reducing our tax rate from 5.3% to 5.0%.
And hopes the legislature will approve his request to roll back the Massachusetts state income tax, an immediate red flag for Lenox town manager Greg Federspiel.
It's less money.
Less money the state has to allocate to municipalities. If this fiscal plan passes, Federspiel says residents won't notice a decrease in total taxes.
We typically go back to the taxpayer, which means going back to the real estate property tax and have to increase people's burdens at the local level.
Lenox is actually set to receive $42,000 more this fiscal year than last, but its total $2.5 million allocation is still $300,000 less than the town received 3 years ago.
That's a step in the right direction. We have a long way to go.
Local governments find it nearly impossible to limit expenditures as much as their revenues are reduced, not just in Massachusetts, but all over the country.
It's a shift that's been happening. It's happened at the federal level, it's happening at the state level, and it trickles down to the local level, and we end up picking up the pieces.
Governor Romney does plan to increase the money sent to cities and towns from the state's lottery revenues. Local municipalities say that is an excellent idea. Lydia.
Abby Bleck live in our Berkshire Newsroom this evening. Thank you, Abby. Jim?
Calling hours are being held tonight for Assistant Fire Chief Mike Falkowski of the Rensselaer Fire Department. He died while responding to a fire over the weekend and is believed to be the first member of that department to die in the line of duty. His funeral will be held at 10:30 tomorrow morning at St. John's Church in Rensselaer. Now, to make room for the funeral procession, people living in the vicinity of the church are asked to park their cars at the Amtrak station by 8 a.m. tomorrow. And if you're traveling on Amtrak tomorrow morning, you should plan to arrive at least 1 hour before your departure time due to the expected delays and detours. The man who was badly burned in that same fire will get skin grafts tomorrow at the Westchester Medical Center. Craig Smith spoke with the man's wife today. He joins us now with her account of what happened. Craig?
Jim, Kim Williams and her husband Jeff live here on 8th Street. What you see behind me is what is left of the garage where Jeff kept the coffee truck that was his livelihood.
The propane tank was on the other side of the coffee truck. This door usually opens up and there's the food that's stored in here.
She says her husband was a few feet away when the explosion blew a hole in the truck. That started a garage fire which threatened the house and Kim Williams' car parked next to the garage. She says her husband followed a neighbor's voice to get out.
The neighbor that was holding him at the time when he collapsed into his arms said he was obsessed with moving your car, and he said, I tried to stop him, but he elbowed me and I couldn't hold him, and he went to move your car.
Did he save the car?
Yeah, he did. He
did. It would have burned?
It would have burned, yeah. He saved it.
After he woke up his wife, Jeff Williams seemed to disappear. Then a friend called Kim, saying she had heard on a scanner police had a burn victim curled up inside a police car.
We tried to go through Ash Street and there were explosions, so we couldn't go. We had to get to him. He was over on 9th Street. We had to go all the way around the block to find him, and we just started opening police car doors to see where he was.
Jeff Williams has third-degree burns on his face, neck, hands, and arms. Before Kim Williams knew it, her sister had set up a fund because so many people wanted to know how to help Jeff. People he's come to know through years of serving coffee and food.
He always joked and said he was a local celebrity. He grew up in East Greenbush, so he always said he was a local celebrity. And from the volume of calls, he has no question of how much he's loved.
The fund is called the Jeff Williams Fund. Donations can be made at any First Niagara Bank branch. Ms. Williams tells me that the truck was not insured, but their home is. And she says she hopes that her husband is out of the hospital in a matter of weeks. Jim?
Thank you, Craig. We wish him a speedy recovery. Craig Smith tonight in Rensselaer. Lydia?
Police in Saratoga County are hoping they've solved the case of the stolen snowblowers. More than 30 snowblowers have been stolen in the county this winter. Last night, police arrested 2 Clifton Park men in connection with the snowblower stolen from Half Moon. Now police are trying to figure out if the suspects also stole the other machines. Charlie Ringwood of Half Moon had his snowblower stolen last week.
I noticed the tracks the following morning. I had a real thick cable on there, and they knew just what to bring, cut the cable. Cabled right to the back of my deck. You couldn't see her from the road, so they knew what they were doing.
If your snowblower has to be stored outside, police recommend chaining it to something sturdy out of plain view.
We have follow-up reports tonight on 2 stories that we first brought you last night. Albany police say they are still investigating a report of a home invasion on Rosemary Circle. A 16-year-old girl says that she was tied up and attacked just after she arrived home from school. We are told at least one person who knows the girl is still being interviewed. And Schenectady police continue to look for the men believed to be responsible for several armed robberies. A search dog led police to a house on Page Street in Hamilton Hill last night, but the SWAT team found no one inside. Police say the 2 cab drivers have been held up this week at gunpoint, and a pizza delivery driver was held up Sunday night on Stanley Street.
People living along Union Street in Schenectady can once again drink water from the faucet. That's because the boil water in effect since Monday has been lifted. We also have an update on this week's water main break at 3rd and Ida Streets in Troy. Crews continue to work on broken pipes that forced 13 families from their homes. Once repairs are complete, the city must also shore up the streets around the break. We're told the families that were evacuated should be able to return to their homes by the end of next week. Below zero temperatures are returning to this area tonight.
For a look now at your first warning forecast, here's Chief Meteorologist Bob Kovachick. Bob?
Jim, Lydia, thanks. Good evening, everyone. Indeed, a colder blast of air coming back in after today's average 4-inch snowfall. Right now, we're down to 11. Cloudy, breezy, colder, wind chill already falling below zero at -2. The clouds will leave us, as will the flurries this evening. It'll turn mostly clear later on tonight, falling below zero. Should be around 2 above. Tomorrow morning heading out and sunrise at 7:14. Full forecast coming along in a few minutes. Jim.
Thank you, Bob. 37 members of the U.S. military were killed today in Iraq.
That is the deadliest day for Americans since the war began. We'll have details at 6:13.
Live, local, late breaking with Jim Kambrich, Lydia Kulbida, meteorologist Bob Kovachick, and Rodger Wyland on sports. This is News Channel 13, live at 6. News Channel 13 is sponsored in part by your Honda dealer and by St. Peter's Healthcare Services, the science of medicine, the compassion to heal. For additional details on many of our stories, go to our website, WNYT.com, developed by Mercury Web Solutions, delivering business solutions that harness the power of web and information technology.
Welcome back. It is well documented that the medical community does a less than stellar job in helping patients control their pain. The reasons are many. Now, New York lawmakers are considering legislating relief. Health reporter Benita Zahn is here with more on the story.
This is such a complicated issue, Jim. You know, there's fear about overprescribing or having narcotics fall into the wrong hands. They're just some of the reasons patients don't always get the pain relief they need. Now an Assembly bill, which has Senate support, is looking to change things. In 2003, Philip Noble's wife, Carol, was diagnosed with breast cancer. Within 11 months, it spread to her bones and brain, and she lost her battle. As Philip describes it, Carol was racked with pain in those final months. Pain, he says, her doctors failed to effectively treat.
And it seems to me almost barbarous to deprive people who are dying and the people who are taking care of them from a medicine that would allow them to die in peace.
Philip and Carol aren't alone. That's why this Assembly hearing today. Getting doctors to prescribe the right pain medication and in sufficient quantity has been an ongoing problem and debate. Some doctors fear prescribing narcotics will get them into legal trouble. Others worry the narcotics, while very effective painkillers, will fall into the wrong hands. And yet others worry their patients who claim chronic pain have emotional or other issues that can get in the way of them appropriately assessing their pain level.
Physicians exercising their best judgment may be thanked by one portion of the family and be the object of intense anger by another. Because there's no objective measurement of pain, nor an objective measurement of its relief, it is impossible to objectively determine whether the treating physician has met their responsibility to relieve the pain.
Assembly Bill A10407 would require education in palliative care and pain management. It would protect healthcare professionals from criminal liability and discipline for prescribing and administering pain meds when they act within accepted professional standards.
I would like to see this legislation, of course, pass. I don't think the devil are in the details here. I think God is in the details here.
Now, this was the second of two hearings. It's not clear where things will go from here, but even here, just between the three of us, this issue sparked a debate. And it works on so many levels. We'll see what happens now in the legislature.
All right. Thanks, Benita. Lydia?
A man in California apparently wanted to commit suicide, but changed his mind at the last minute. Now he's going to face homicide charges. Police say the man parked his Jeep Cherokee on train tracks in Glendale, then got out of the vehicle just before a commuter train smashed into it. The commuter train derailed into the path of another train coming in the opposite direction. 10 people were killed and about 100 were hurt. Many of them are in critical condition. This was the deadliest day for U.S. forces in Iraq since the war began nearly 2 years ago. 30 Marines and 1 Navy sailor were killed when their helicopter crashed in a sandstorm in western Iraq. A military spokesman says the helicopter was on a routine mission in support of Sunday's elections in Iraq. 6 other troops died in insurgent ambushes.
Condoleeza Rice can now add the title of Secretary of State to her resume. Dr. Rice won confirmation in the Senate today and will be sworn in later tonight at the White House. She replaces Colin Powell as the nation's top diplomat. During her confirmation hearings, Rice was questioned about the war in Iraq and President Bush's record. Vermont Senator James Jeffords says he voted against Rice today because statements she made leading up to the war have proven to be false. The nomination of Alberto Gonzales to be Attorney General is headed now to the full Senate, possibly by next week. The Judiciary Committee voted 10-8 today to move the nomination forward. Vermont Senator Patrick Leahy voted against Gonzales, as did the 7 other Democrats on the committee. All of those voting for the nomination were Republicans.
Tonight on NBC Nightly News, a special series called Coming Home. The VA has more than 300,000 health claims waiting to be processed. What does that backlog mean for veterans seeking treatment?
But first, Chief Meteorologist Bob Kovachick will be back with your frigid forecast. Right now, we have the latest news from Wall Street, where lower oil prices help the markets extend their rally into a second day. The News Channel 13 Bloomberg Index of 60 local stocks closed up 2.5 points. The Dow was up 37, NASDAQ was up 26.
Bob Kovachick relaxing in the Weather Center after a bit of snow last night and today.
Yeah, I'd call it a mini storm. Nothing really to get too excited
well, after
about.
this past weekend, it's
Anything
okay.
is mini for sure. About 4 inches of snow. Cold day, though, 19 the best we could do with the snow through early afternoon, 11 the low. That's also the current reading. Records for this day to 59 and 17 below zero. And with the 4.1 inches, we're now clicking past 40 inches, up to 43 inches of snowfall so far in the season. What a turnaround. What started out as a very mild first 10 days of January. 11 right now, mostly cloudy, breezy too. Northeast at 12, dew point 4. Feels like 3 below. Again, the wind chill becoming a factor in our outdoor comfort tonight and tomorrow, and the barometer rising at 29.96. Generally 3, 4, maybe 5 inches fell across the area, as you can see from the numbers across the area from the Berkshires into the Helderbergs, 5 at Windham, about 2.5 in Claverack, 2 inches in Ghent down in Columbia County. North Country also averaging maybe a hair more in some spots, about 4 or 5 inches at Glens Falls, Galway, 5 in Saratoga Springs, 5 in Broad Alban, also up in Hamilton County, 3 in Amsterdam, and 4 inches of new snow in Scotia. Breezy cold right now. The snow has pulled away off the New England coast, but still getting snow in the Boston area as that coastal storm begins to deepen now south of Nantucket, pulling the moisture ashore. They're headed now to top snowiest January on record in Boston, and that's after a very mild start to the month there. A few snow showers lingering here, but pretty much over. Let's go to First Warning Live Doppler. And again, we can see the snow showers scattered about portions of the Mohawk Valley. Also, the snow gradually pulling out of Berkshire County, heading on over through northern Massachusetts, northern Connecticut, central Massachusetts. And again, a few snow showers to the west, but that's about it. Already 10 in Saratoga Springs, 11 in Niskuna, 17 in Cobleskill, 12 in Averill Park. Most places in the area will be down to 0 or below by morning. Rest of the weather picture looks like this. It looks like a moderation. Hooray! Beginning this weekend. It has been what? About 2 weeks of pretty cold weather. The storm pulling off the New England coast, carrying the snow away. Certainly cold tonight, cold through the day on Friday, but then temperatures climb back up and head back up toward perhaps even as high as freezing or so as we get toward the weekend. So that is certainly good news as we carry this coastal storm on away. And we'll see an improving weather conditions as we head on to Saturday and Sunday as that storm moves away. All right, so again, the low moves away quickly. There it goes, bye-bye after hitting a pretty good blow again on eastern New England, but then things will begin to improve thereafter. Forecast overnight tonight, few evening snow showers and clearing, breezy, much colder. Temperatures fall to 0 or below in most spots by morning. For tomorrow, yes, we know it's frigid. Get rid of that word. We've seen it enough. 1 below tonight, 10 above, high tomorrow, sunshine, breezy, very cold. Coldest night of this stretch tomorrow night, 10 below here, 10 to 20 below in some spots, 14 better Friday, but much better for the weekend. We get to the 20s and 30s, maybe some mixed stuff early next week, but I think the real cold will be gone for several days once we get past Friday.
I'm looking into the thesaurus for you for tonight. You had frigid like 5 times.
Did I?
There. Yes.
I got to change my wordage.
Okay, thank
vocabulary.
you, Bob.
Yes.
Thanks, Bob.
Okay.
Rodger's up next with Big Board Sports. Another TO update. Is he going to get the TKO?
You know, it's every night, all night with TO, and there's always the latest, so we'll have it for you coming up from Philadelphia. Also, the Mets and the Red Sox have worked a trade. You'll meet All-Star number 4 on our News Channel 13 New York Lottery Boys All-Star Basketball Squad, and we'll update the latest from down under at the Australian Open. It's all coming up next on Big Board Sports. And good evening, everyone. Welcome to Big Board Sports. Major League Baseball spring training a few weeks away, and the Mets continue to have a very impressive offseason after losing out on first baseman Carlos Delgado to the Marlins yesterday. It went right to Plan B, getting Doug Mientkiewicz from the Boston Red Sox in exchange for a minor league prospect. Mientkiewicz was dealt to the Red Sox last July, and he's known for his golden glove down at first base. Mientkiewicz is also known for catching the final out of the Red Sox World Series win last year and not wanting to give the ball back. A very smart man. Time for the nightly TO update. Yesterday, Terrell Owens' doctor said he would not clear the Philly wide receiver to play in the Super Bowl on February the 6th. But it's not going to end there because Owens wants to play, and the final decision belongs to head coach Andy Reid and their training staff. Rick Burkholder said today that T.O. plans to continue his rehab on the injured ankle in an attempt to suit up against the Patriots.
Just started jogging yesterday. We will continue to see whether he can jog and see how he does day in and day out, see whether he can change direction. If we pass all those tests, then we'll start talking about practice time with Coach Reid.
Meanwhile, off the field, Baltimore Ravens running back Jamal Lewis has been sentenced to 4 months. Sure beats 10 years in jail for using a cell phone to try and set up a drug deal over 4 years ago. The sentence wasn't a surprise as Lewis worked out an agreement with prosecutors last October. He'll report in a few days. The NHL resumed labor negotiations today in Toronto. It's one last-ditch effort to end the 133-day lockout. Reports indicate there is at least a fighting chance that things could get done. From down under, second-seeded Andy Roddick going to the semifinals with a win over Nikolai Davydenko, who retired in the last set because of breathing problems. Tonight's showdown on the women's side, second-seeded Maria Sharapova against the seventh-seeded Serena Williams. Time tonight to meet player number 4 on our News Channel 13 New York Lottery Boys All-Star Basketball team. This young man is only a sophomore, but boy, plays like a senior. Congratulations tonight to 5'11" point guard Taylor Battle from Bishop McGinn. Battle averages 25 points, 6 assists, and 3 steals per game. Our team of scouts have been very impressed with Taylor right from the start of the season.
Taylor's really made a difference once he joined the Bishop McGinn team. You look at their scores, there's really vast improvement once he started playing. Excellent ball handler, great crossover, dribble.
He's an excellent outside shooter. He can penetrate. He defends very well on the other end of the floor. Certainly well deserving to be on the team.
He's a point guard. He can create for other people, but he also can create for himself. He knows how to get to the basket. He can exploit a matchup. If he senses weakness in an opponent, he will take advantage of that.
For a guy his size, he's not afraid to hit the boards, both on the offensive and defensive end. I've seen him get offensive rebound, go back up, draw a foul. He certainly can hit the three-point play. And he looks to take charge and keep points in games.
If you were to describe your game to somebody, how would you go about doing it?
I like to drive the ball, but if you play off me, I shoot the ball.
You're quick to the hole, though. You rely a lot on your quickness out there?
Yeah, I do rely a lot on my quickness, but lately I've been getting double teamed, so I have to adjust, distribute the ball to my teammates.
And Battle joins Ledbetter and Robinson and Bova on our team. You'll meet player number 5 next Wednesday. Girls number 5 coming up, 4 coming up tomorrow. And we got radio tomorrow morning starting at 10 o'clock. Hope you can join me on the radio side as well, guys. A lot of things going on in sports.
All right, thanks, Roger.
First, there was a shortage of flu shots. Now there's a surplus.
So should we still get a shot? Some advice from the health officials coming up in just a moment. Looking ahead to our late news, the capital region is bracing for another cold snap. Bob Kovachick will have an updated forecast at 11. And we'll talk to a local woman who is frustrated with the difficulties in registering to vote in this Sunday's election in Iraq. Plus a showdown in high school hockey tonight. Rodger Wyland will have highlights of the Shenendehowa versus Shaker game.
State health officials now say there is plenty of flu vaccines still available, and they're trying to get the word out that anyone can receive a flu shot. But it's proving to be difficult because there are still public service announcements running that say flu shots should only be given to those at highest risk. There are also concerns some people won't get vaccinated because they believe they've made it this far without getting the flu. The health department reminds us that flu season peaks in February and March, so if you get it now, it'll kick in before the peak. That's it for now. NBC Nightly News is next.
We'll be back live at 11. Until then, have a good evening.
Good night.